I'm a bit nervous about today's one, not gonna lie. Hey Spuds, how's it going? It's Jamie, welcome back to another video. Your first video on the channel. I don't know. How are we all doing today? I hope that you have not been ill recently, and if you have been, I hope that you are on the mend. Today I'm taking a quiz, a test. I'm gonna find out, am I really trans? Who knows? I mean, I know I am, but I'm gonna take a quiz that a couple of you sent me in DMs and stuff and tagged me in to be like, hey, I think you should try taking this quiz. It looks interesting and I've not looked at it yet, so we're gonna find out if it looks interesting and am I really trans. The quiz is called Am I Trans? Quiz! A simple test will reveal the truth. Am I transgender? Why do you need to take up the Am I Trans quiz? Oh, there's quite a lot of information. Gender means how a person feels on the inside and how they wish to express themselves to the outside world. Sex denotes the biological features derived from factors like genes from the previous generation. Gender is more or less relating to the attributes of the person. It is noted that there are about 72 types of gender identities in the world. The Am I Trans quiz is a perfect personality test to check if you can identify with one of them or your true sexuality. Is this about being trans or about sexuality? What are the signs to indicate that you might be transgender? Becoming transgender is not an overnight process. No, because you don't become trans. You either are or you are not. It's a whole set of emotional changes that lead to unacceptance of one's physical form. The parents can detect the signs of a transgender child at a much earlier stage, provided they know it. Some of the common signs are given below. What is this? It makes it sound like you can catch being trans, which you definitely cannot. Interested in dressing up like the opposite gender. Wanting to use the restroom of the opposite gender. This is one of the most serious signs that indicate your kid has to want to become a transgender person. I feel like it's trying, but then is this quiz aimed at parents or people questioning whether they're trans or not? I don't know. Haircut preferences. Not indulging in conventional gender activities. That feels like a very posh. Not indulging in these conventional gender activities. Oh no, they do not indulge in those. There are a certain set of activities meant exclusively for a specific gender. No, there aren't. When you notice your kid not being interested in indulging in those kinds of activities, then you need to ask them whether or not they're happy about being a girl or a boy. Not liking their names. This might sound very trivial, but is one of the most important signs that you need to take into consideration while deciding on the gender preference of your kid. Why does it make it sound like the parents have the final say? Like, I've done this quiz, I've read this information, I have decided that you are transgender. There's also zero inclusion of non-binary people so far. The term gender is used here, which denotes either masculinity or femininity. No, gender denotes your gender, not your expression of your gender. Masculinity, femininity is the scale of gender expression, not gender identity. We would use man, woman, non-binary. Being a transgender person is not to be seen as something immoral or low standard despite having one particular biological connotation. They chose to develop the attributes of another biological form. Why is this written as if trans people are aliens? They chose to develop the attributes of another biological form. Oh yes, I'm now a sheep. What? This is so weird. I feel like they're trying. They're trying to be nice, and it just doesn't work. Okay, let's start the quiz. 1 out of 15. Okay, so in 15 short questions, I will find out if I am a true trans. That is not grammatically correct. What kind of toys/games did you like in your childhood? Dolls, football, skipping/rope jumping, trucks. I mean, I'm going to be very stereotypical trans man here. I was obsessed with football. Yes. Your friends are mostly the same sex as you or the opposite. Piss off advert. As an assigned female at birth child, most of my friends were boys. So that would be opposite. This feels so weird. You see a parking space, but you have to drive backwards and the parking space is quite narrow. What would you do? Okay, those first two questions were really like stereotypical things of what is asked if you go to like a gender clinic. They do ask your interests, they do ask your friends, they ask like your clothing and things that you liked because they are indicators. They're not things that you have to have displayed. But typically quite a lot of trans people when they were kids will have tried to have fit in with the gender they identify with as an adult or identified with as a kid if they realised that young. It's not necessarily something that has to be true. You can be a trans guy and have been incredibly feminine in your childhood and that doesn't mean anything. It's an on average thing, not a must have done this thing, if that makes sense. But now this one is asking about parking spaces. I'd look for a different place, I'd park carefully. Without thinking much, I'd drive in backwards. I mean, I'd park carefully. Who the heck would park without thinking much backwards in a tight spot? That's not anything to do with gender, that's just being silly. So I'd park carefully. Is this meant for kids as well? Or adults? What movies/series do you like to watch the most? Oh my god. Adventure/action, historical documentary, drama, romances, horror/thriller. I am like a horror/thriller. This isn't just a trans quiz. You're finding out a bit about me today, see? Which of these words best describes you? Creative, nice, modest, mean, introverted, open. I like to think I'm creative, but I don't think it's like my top word. I also like to think I'm nice. I'm very introverted. Am I modest? I don't know. Oh god. If other people were doing this quiz about me, I'd want them to put nice, but I think I will put introverted. No, nice. I want to put nice, but I'm going to put nice. I'm doing it. How do you deal with a situation where you have an argument with a friend? It happens so rarely, I don't even know. Well, maybe that's the correct one for me because I do like to avoid conflict. I soothe the atmosphere by pretending nothing has happened. That does not soothe the atmosphere. That is not how you soothe an atmosphere. This did not happen. Soothe. No. I'm waiting for the other person to apologise. No. I'm trying to clarify the situation and understand whose side the fault is. Probably D. I'm gonna do D because that's what I would do. What name would you like to be called by? Jamie. If Jamie is not... Oh, right. Let's just say what type of name. Not what name. I thought it was gonna have like a list of like mixtures of names, like some of them like typically boys' names, some of them typically girls' names, and some neutral names, and be like, which one would you prefer? I like my current name, but for where my headspace was when I was picking my name, masculine. It's not asked my identity yet, or my assigned sex or anything. Very interesting. Do you often fantasize about being a different gender? I mean, yes. Before I transitioned, when I was living as female, I'd say yes often. So weird. Has anyone ever mistaken your gender? Think back. Yes, many times. I was asked to leave the women's bathrooms quite a few times before I transitioned. I've been asked on the bus whether I was a boy or a girl. So yes, it happens a lot. Oh, it happened a lot. Does not happen anymore. Hasn't happened for years. If you had the choice to change your gender, would you do that? Oh, it's so weird answering it now. I'm having to like put myself in the position I was in like 11, 12 years ago, but it feels weird answering it for now because of how I feel now as a man. I would not change. I'm very happy. I definitely have the opinion that in terms of my gender, as I've always like been man. I don't think my gender has changed throughout my life at all. It's just my acknowledgement of my gender and the presentation of my gender and the way I identify to other people has changed. But in terms of this quiz, before I transitioned, yes, I would, without a second thought, start living as a man. Do you like wearing clothes that are typically made for the opposite gender? So that would be, would I like wearing boy clothes? Yes. I did not like women's clothes at all. Do you accept your birth name? No. Have you noticed that you behave differently from people of your gender and age? What's age got to do with it? I'm more serious than my peers. What? I didn't fit in with girls, if that's what they're asking. But I wouldn't say I was completely different, so I don't know how to answer this question. I'll say I'm completely different because it's the most fitting. Have you ever wondered what it would be like if you had a different gender? Yeah, I would like a refund. Yeah, I've always wondered. I'm gonna go down to the store and refund my gender and get a different one. That's what it sounds like. Have I ever wondered? Yes, but I didn't think about it constantly back then. Like, some of these questions are really odd. And then, are you currently in a relationship? Sorry, I was on another train of thought then. Some of them are odd, like the parking one. Some of them are kind of along the lines of the things that you might get asked at a gender clinic appointment. But just putting it out there, this quiz would not definitively be able to tell you if you're trans or not. Seriously, do not take these quizzes results at all, like, seriously. Are you currently in a relationship? Yes, I am. But was I back then? Wait. Actually, no, I was. At the point that I would have taken this, I was as well, but not with Shopper. I think that was the last question. What are my results? Am I trans? You're trans! Ah, and a rainbow flag. Oh my god, what a shock. It seems like you're trans. Discovering yourself is a tedious process that takes time. If you are still unsure about your orientation or gender, perhaps you would like to try other quizzes in this category. That felt very anticlimactic. Okay. So, breakdown. I've already said this. Some of those questions were not the oddest questions to get asked of somebody who is beginning to question their gender, maybe at a gender clinic appointment. Things like, what kind of friends do you have? How do you feel about your birth name? Do you ever wish that you were living as a different gender? They're not like the strangest questions, right? The parking one, very odd. Not sure why it needed to know if I was in a relationship. I feel like there was another weird one in there, but there were 15, so I can't remember every single one. So honestly, not like the weirdest one, but it does automatically get strange points for having a question about parking amongst other questions. You cannot take the results of tests like this definitively. If you're thinking you might be trans, the best route to go is to a professional, a gender clinic, somewhere like that, a counsellor to speak to them, rather than taking quizzes online to find it out. I'm not saying it's like the worst thing in the world to do, but just don't think that they can give you all the answers, or like if you are confused about your gender, or you're like kind of deep into the questioning stage, that is really going to help you very much. It maybe will clarify exactly how you feel on some things if they're asking specific questions, but it's really something you need to figure out for yourself. And if you really think you might be trans, it is important to speak to somebody about it, and just know that you do not have to have displayed this stereotypical trans type behavior in childhood. It's more a case of how you are feeling now. Are you trans? Do you feel like you are not the gender you were assigned? So yeah, that's all for today. Turns out I really am trans. Who would have guessed it? What interesting and fascinating results. If you like this video, think about giving it a thumbs up and subscribing if you want to, but no pressure. You can also go click that little join button to become a channel member, part of the Spud Squad if you want to, but again, no pressure, just letting you know the options that are available. And yeah, as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Much love. Bye.